You probably have heard of the concept of the black tax. It's a concept that applies to the African context, where as you start to make some money, you find that the request for financial help or financial responsibility to other people, it's so compelling you can almost not avoid it. That's why the word tax is used. While helping your friends and your relatives is a good thing, it can also ruin your financial health. Here are 5 things you can do to get better at paying your black tax contributions without ruining your financial well-being. Number 1 is to set a budget for black tax. As you are doing your monthly budget for your basic needs, for your wants, you also factor in that you may have requests from your relatives, from friends who are doing weddings and stuff like that. Have some money set aside for that, so that when the requests come, which will probably be on an emergency basis, you do not take away the core things that you need to do, for example, savings. Number 2 is to set boundaries with your relatives as well as with your friends. You may realize as you start to make some money, there are certain friends or certain relatives who feel that your money is also their money, and they may have a tendency to make unreasonable requests, which can also ruin your financial plans. It's also good to tell them, this is how much I'm able to afford, or this is how much I'm able to help. Do not feel obligated to give money for purposes of pleasing a relative or a loved one. Number 3 is to prioritize your financial well-being when you are also giving out black tax contributions. If there is an event where you have to make a decision whether to meet your financial goals or to give to a relative or to a friend, it is always advisable to choose yourself, because at the end of the day, your financial well-being in the long term is helpful to both yourself and the person who is dependent on you, so that, for example, if you have some money today that you have budgeted to make a saving towards an investment that you really need to survive in the next 3 years, and you have this request that comes in and requires you to dip into the savings kitty or the investment fund to achieve that, it's advisable that you would rather forfeit help in this relative today, so that you are able to sustain the help you can give them, say, 3 years from now, when you have made the investment product that now is giving you more money that you can also help the relative and even other people. Number 4 is to collaborate with family and other like-minded people to structure out your way of giving the support to your relatives and to your friends. So you can come together. If you are, for example, many cousins, you may have 30 cousins who in total in the general or in the larger family, and then 10 are employed, or 20 are employed and 10 are unemployed. The 20 could come together. Instead of always giving handouts, you can come together and create a structured way of contributing, say, 1,000 shillings. And then at the end of the year, you'll have about 240,000, which you can then put up in an investment product. You can put them in bonds or in other passive income like MMFs. And the interest will also increase the structured way of giving, so that you can be using the interest to pay, for example, whenever someone is sick, out of the 10 who are unable to contribute, whenever they are sick, whenever someone has a child, you can use that money to support them. You can also use part of this money to get a medical cover. For example, when you have an elderly parent or a grandparent, you can come together, and instead of always paying cash, which is a lot of money, you can get a medical cover, because you have structured your way of giving by creating structures and working together with like-minded relatives and friends. Number 5, do not be an enabler of bad habits. You will have many requests that are unreasonable, that are aimed at taking advantage of your financial situation. So you may find a friend you used to live together, you probably were, when you are in a lower financial circumstances, he was your neighbor or she was your neighbor. And as you start to progress, they start to see this is a cash cow. Anytime I need money to go drinking, I have this friend who is well off, and you do not want to aid that, because at the end of the day, you're not helping them. Money254.co.ke has written more about how you can get better at paying your black tax. Click on the link provided to learn more.